Okay. So 1 is Arthurianism, 2, a list of rights, 3, Birdman occult, 4, Adam's matrix. That's Church of Satan. Every constitutional religion gets an initial movement. Judaism is basically that there will always be Jews. Islam is making the pilgrimage to Mecca. Church of Satan is that by doing that, correctly, basically you come to fruition of an internal quantum physics, and you're doing constitutionality correctly. The transference into a holy or spiritual capacity by virtue of initial space. If you do that, which is specifically anti-Antichrist, the thing that you are generating becomes not so much a mirror of good karma or actual momentum. So voting kind of deals with the recognition that there is a history, particularly a military one. The idea when incorporating natural motion is that you accept that there is a time, in a sense there is a progression. It's the singularism context. That because of length, width, and height, you have time. Because of time, you have length, width, and height. That's your 4, basically, a 4-pad. And that can also be the 4 of the 4 initial forces, which is why you get the difference between, or the similarity, rather, is the correct phrasing, between Drift Buddhism and Taoism, and why they were initially separate. You have to go to the Egyptology from a Buddhist perspective, a correct perspective. You can't assume things. It's like your ownership and stuff like that. That's where they started. That's where humanity started. Dumb. So that's the initial movement of Church of Satan. That's how karma is created, basically, and that's why you control or have control, or will or have will, or cosplay, so to speak. You're able to determine your direction. It turns into free will, not Freemasonry, not Masonry, not Presenteering, none of that. Turns into free will. And then there's a higher dynamic as well of how it relates to the total universe. So it's not the universe you're in, not the universe that's becoming that you control, but the finality almost of existence itself. So there's like pre-existence, there's existing, there's existence, one more. I don't know if pre-existing applies. Anyway, what do we get with this? With the 4, every debate is out at that point, is gathered at that point. Any discussion, any debates, your standard interaction from the Catholics, or your correct itinerary of the Hinduism, whatever. Everything is on that side of things. There is no backdoor, there is no leeching, there is none of that. Everything's in unanimous perfect form, communism. And deals with a perfect constitutional logic going to a particular set. So there is a way that the universe is. And it's no mere turned fear. Sort of thing, which could be descriptive of non-awareness and all that crap. Hegemony dynamic, in my worksheet, hegemony dynamic, memory and meaning. And then basically your conversion, anyway, final point, whenever you do the constitutionality correctly, all the quantum physics correctly, and to all of the good karma correctly, the conversion is the action. So by that you control time, and you can get up out over that way. The wormhole reversed, so to speak. So you don't have to do basically the Catholic underworld every time that you need to make a decision. It's all right there. There's no Antichrist, there's no Schadenfreude. It's 5/2. It's done. Because your conversion is your action. So monotheism is third eye. Your third eye is monotheism. The world is God, sort of thing. If you did the Tao correctly, the world, everything's good. Anything that happens is good. It's super Jewish at this point. Everything that happens is good. The world is good. How do we make things good? Good, right, true. Whatever the other one was. So this is correct, Hasidic format. Monotheism, in some circles or in some ways, only when you have to rewire, when you have to do work, means move things. The will supersedes kind of the monotheistic or the karma. You're aware of the karma, you're aware of the reality, you're aware of who you are and what your mind is and your position on the grid, so to speak, and where things start, where things end. So that's your conscious thought. That's where your conscious thought starts. Not way, way, way back in the will with Schadenfreudeville and everything else, but just right across the forehead, sort of thing. And that's your stream of conscious thought. All your emotions are there, so everything comes to that point. It goes environment, emotions, thought, action. And it's all here, not way back. No rewiring, no tricks, no ghosts, nothing. It's all in front. That's all yours. Instant actualization, endorsed by enlightenment. No Freudianism, none of that. Period. So it's all right there. And then you choose, or don't choose, if you're intuiting. That's pursuit of happiness, basically. Why necessary completion? And it has to be a good turnout, because you're moving away from the Antichrist. So if you attack the Antichrist, if you get rid of the Antichrist, you generate positive momentum. And then the spiritual element is at the point of perfection, that perfection is enough perfection. Perfection is perfection. Perfection counts, sort of thing. So that's the Hasidic element, that there is a equals A, there is a 1 equals 1, there is a perfection. Poo equals pi, period. No more looking. It's there, evident, sort of thing. And then you can get into the very symbolisms if you want to go super orthodox. You can. And that's Greek Orthodox, that's Jewish Orthodox, that's like the end of magic, the end of the Catholic magic, so to speak, white magic. It's a box. You control that. Every day is magic, sort of thing. And why it works is because your entire will is correct. Your will is not misinformed. So you have a higher automatic, higher silence, higher automation. Your will is not misinformed, so thus you can intuit. If you intuit, nothing repeats. The world is itself. There's no divergence, there's no violence, there's no images, there's no holes. Everything's solid. Unanimous perfect form, 1 equals 1, whole way through. So that's the initial movement. And then to add something else, it would just be no mirrors turned fears, sort of thing. So your doubt and doubting and whatever else, you can just kind of keep that on the level context, sort of thing. You make yourself sick, sort of thing. You always have the choice to interpret information however you want. What your rights get on triangulation. And that's like the top of the cone. Cone faces this way, of what becomes a I forget how it was defined, intention, sort of thing. It's a little bit different, and that's because of the precession of the astrology, not the wobble, so to speak. Not the one, not the circle that becomes the circle. The planet spins, that's your day, and then it spins, that's your year. Not the circle into the circle, your will, your intent, your figuring, your reckoning, your hardware, and if you can get that, the whole effort, what is the whole effort of black anything, is to keep all of that clear as what you're looking at. And this is the thing that does the looking, you yourself, sort of thing. And all you see is, all. And that becomes one thing. So this whole operation, and then you have a standard interaction up. That's your line, that's military, that's lawyer, that's doctor, that's professional, that's fireman, that's policeman, that's politician, manager, any of it. It's all the same thing. There's no personality test, there's no Rorschach bullshit, there's no masks, there's no timing and hoping for timing of things, no cutthroat capitalistic militarism based on cannibalism and whatever else. So it's that posit that you do the constitutional quantum correctly, you achieve good karma, you become the good karma by virtue of refusing incompletion. And that's your necessary completion. So you could either know or not know what a thing is. God is what you do not know. So So the more that you learn, the holier you get is true. And that's how you get your staples of experts and everything else. It's not if you can break something, it's if you can build it. Breaking something doesn't imply or mean that you're better than the thing that you are breaking. In any instance, there is no precedent to have to teach sorcery or magic. It's the same thing. So that's a flat poo equals pi rather than the double intendra, or however you pronounce it. Some sort of irrelevant sexual element relating to some sort of weak psychology, professed to be something eternal and some sort of depreciating schematic that doesn't exist anyway. Define waste of time. Yeah, and then aside from the mirror of that, so that's your initial 3 or whatever, that you can consciously decide whether or not to engage in a karma. And that's how you get correct figures on something new. It's why think sort of thing if you don't intuit and already know the answer. If it's a hurdle, if it's a problem, if it's something not you, you have to think to apply yourself to the situation to find a solution. That's how you do it. This isn't part of my automation. How do I feel about this? And you go to the point that you're no longer making a decision. And the universe just carries over and carries on, sort of thing. And now you've achieved the victory over that. It's a fact. Facts occur in time. It's a block of knowledge that's known. It fits into some sort of pattern. It compresses. And then there's various elements of how what we know coordinates to an initial supersymmetry or strength. So the facts that we do know, it hurts to stub your toe. Is that essential to how to hear the other side of Jupiter, how to fly, how to not breathe, how to throw a fact the whole way around the world. It takes like 6 seconds to check them. That's one of the cited goals, by the way. Getting back to that point. So does the stuff that we have correlate to supersymmetry at large? Because you can get like a mantra, I must push myself. It's an intersection of a lot of different things. It's a big thing, it's an important thing. There is a calendar of importance, sort of thing. So why do we have it based off death? Well, it's where life ends. So, and that's also the same place the greater unknown meets us, sort of thing. So that goes the whole way through. All the fears are gone, totally objective. It's the only system on the planet. Does the information occur there? And then that's how much noise it makes, sort of thing. If you do that correctly, if you yourself are empty, without fear, secure, understanding, have love, energy, strength, all that, healthy, basically healthy, can manually override those things. Eat well and you're doing better. Smoke some pot and now you understand prayer. And it comes to a signature, sort of thing. Your style, so to speak, is a different run. And then that's what holds your good karma, which is the sum of your momentum. Your style doesn't go on. Your style is eternal in the sense of the instant. The momentum that we talk about doesn't impact the instant. So, just because I'm good at church, do I deserve a Bentley? No. So, all of that's wrong, the whole economic. But it would be your style or your aura, basically, that impacts or holds your karma. Is the building moving forward sort of thing. And then the debates would still be then on the other side of that. You have all of this space, all of it nonviolent. Doing nothing wrong, state of perfection. One thing. And then there is no higher nor lower sort of thing. So like, where does that go? You can control your aura and bring your energy with you. Does your energy or your karma, so that would be like your dharma, your lower thing, your style. Your dharma holds your karma sort of thing. Does your karma did you trust that? Higher doesn't bow to lower, it starts getting logical. You know, it's easy. You know why you're doing something, sort of thing. But it doesn't slow you down. You're not thinking. It's just there. So, and then do opposites attract or do similarities attract? So your style would find what where. You know, and then maybe this one's love. It's always a question. It's always a question. It's impossible to teach a man what he thinks he already knows. If you think that you know, you're doing domination. Domination is a lie. You're not learning. So that's the only act of submission that's basically required to live on the planet, is to know that you don't know. And then that's wisdom. That's where wisdom can come in. And then everything else gets thrown out the window. How wisdom is categorized deals with that schedule of excellence and importance. It's evident. You know, tying your shoe is not important when you're being shot at. You know, there's a snap to that, and that's constitutionality. Law, in Judaic terms, but constitutionality, whenever it finally gets to the correct number that we all understand, sort of thing. And then that's you being Birdman, basically. So now you're the hero or the actualized element or the thing that has achieved actualism or are absent psychology or are pure or are honest or are quick, have dexterity, true, correct, good, right, true, correct, good, right. And then that's how you start seeing the world as a circle. And then if you do that, everything's complete. Hit everything. You know, do things completely. That's holism, which is the governing philosophy of Birdman, 2+, the whole thing. Holism, sustainability. Sustainability gets tough unless you go through holism, because sustainability isn't sustainable, which is where you start to get your politic. But the politic doesn't change the person, sort of thing. Politics separate, but it's way over there, way on the other side. So if you already went through those questions, if you already had those debates, whatever the topic is, no matter how obscene, if you've achieved fluency, if you are expert, then whatever the debate is, it's on the other side of that debate. So you either know the answer to the question or the conflict, you don't know the answer to the conflict, is depending on whether or not the conflict exists. So if you're conscious, you did a lot of self-teaching and that sort of thing, you can still be integral and elemental to society. It doesn't matter. Consciousness occurs when the person addresses the problems of the world. That's why leftists are smarter than rightists. Everything applies. 100% all of the time. None of that. Maya. And then that's peace. That's Judaic peace. So then you have no religious issues either. If you have no religious issues, then the leftover hierarchy of the aristocracy can't touch you. Illuminati and whatever else. You've achieved freedom. So beyond virtual freedom or virtual reciprocity, that quantum mess, it doesn't coexist sort of thing. It's how to get peace. It's on the other side of good. It's nothing to do with problems. It's all good. You are there. You do this. You're with this. You are this. And that's the story of religion.